Yes, well, good evening, polar bears. You'll never ever guess who I have in the house. The Bigshot's TeeVee on the Bigshot's couch himself. 1988 World Surfing Champion Barton Lynch, fine feathered friend of mine, BL. How are you, Cuzzy?
Good, bro.
That was a good crack too.
That was a good crack.
Connection. We got some connection. We've done this before, mate. You and I, a bunch of times, with the Ra TV show, behind the lens, in front of the lens, and actually, you know, shooting our own stuff back in the day.
Yes, we that was one of the first projects we embarked on when I finished the tour in '97. Was the Ra television show. I produced about 60 episodes of that show over about 6 series, so that was good. And you were our man on the snow.
Mate. I was here, there, everywhere. I was even in drains, mate.
That's
drains and planes and all that. Yeah. So we did that show that lasts a long time on Fox 8, which is pretty good cred to have a show last that long.
Yeah, and we'd never been to school to learn how to make a television show or any of that. We just went straight at it, had some good advice, some good people help us, and threw ourselves in front of it, and away you go.
Yeah. It was so much fun. It was dead set so much fun. We'd think about the shows, we'd go out there and shoot the shows, then give them to the boys and watch them put them together in Ali Kabam. You know, you had 6 series.
A couple of clowns on telly.
Yeah, that's it. Bill, tell me, like, what made you think about surfing, starting to go surf and stuff?
My dad was involved with the surf club at Whale Beach and spent all his time there at the beach at Whaley, and that was his answer to everything, really, was to go to the beach, have a swim. You know, if you had the flu, you were sick, anything that was going on, it was always go to the beach. And so I spent my time as a kid at the beach growing up, and surfing was kind of the logical step, you know. My dad was in the Surf Life Saving Club and the captain of Whale Beach Surf Life Saving Club, and I remember watching those surf life saving activities that they would do, the march past and the flags and all those different type of things, and down the other end of the beach at the Wedge were people surfing, and I remember always looking down there and going, that looks a hell of a lot cooler than what they're doing over here, and so surfing grabbed me, and my dad took me to Kitty's Corner the first time, and I think I was about 8 years old at the time, and fell in love with it, and it became my life.
Because you were living nowhere near the beach.
Well,
you were up at Mossman, weren't you?
Yeah, I
hitchhiking to the beach. You were keen, you know, as every grommet is. You know, super keen just to get salt water in the gills and that.
Yeah, I was most probably a little keener than most, I suppose. You know, we left Whale Beach at 11 when my dad passed away, and as you said, Mum moved us to Mossman. And that was, you know, it wasn't that far, but, you know, 7Ks, 10Ks when you're a kid and you're, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. No licence and hitchhiking every day to the beach. And, it was quite an education, that, getting into strangers' cars. Like, literally every day of my life, I'd just climb into a stranger's car and talk to them and tell them what's up. And then they dropped me at Manly, and hopefully they'd had a good time. And I turned them on, and they were going to pick me up next time, was the plan.
Tell me about that time when you told me this story down in Bells when it was like massive, and you were driving down there and you were seeing like these huge lines and absolutely shitting yourself to go surfing.
Well, that was 1981, and the first world championship event that I went to as a kid. And I suppose I was 17 years old, and it was at Easter, and I was super excited to be down there. And then that big day happened. It was massive. It was 15 feet Hawaiian, I suppose, and
20 feet Aussie style.
Yeah, it was massive. Yeah. And they announced the schedule for the day. I'd fortunately lost the day before in the first round of the main event, so I got through the trials and made the main event. Lost that day before, and they used to run the trials to a final, and I was still in the semi-finals of the trials, and they announced the schedule for the day, and they didn't talk about the semi-finals of the trials. And I went, thank gosh I get to, because they were the biggest waves I'd ever seen. You know, as a kid, I'd never been to Hawaii. I'd never seen waves like that, and so I thought, well, this is good. I get to watch this historic day and not have to scare the hell out of myself and go out there. So I went down and I checked with the contest director, and I said, so you're not running the semis of the trials today? And he looked at me and went, it's a good idea. I forgot that. Yeah, we'll have them at the end of the day.
Oh, no.
I was like, no. So I ended up having to surf that day at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
it was massive, and it was a great experience as a kid. It was terrifying, but as a young kid to surf on such a historic day, and it'd be my first event that I ever went to, was a bit of a baptism of fire, as they say.
Nice. Now, Bill, you're absolutely on fire right now. You've got a lot of projects going on. Would you say that you're even more busier now than when you were even on tour?
I suppose back then it was you were a one-trick pony because you did the surfing, you did the contest, and that's all you kind of had to focus on. And then, when you retire, back in our day, when you retired, you didn't retire with $1 million in the bank.
No.
You know what I mean? Like they do nowadays. And so you had to retire and go and get a job. So that was, that was a real slap in the face, a dose of reality, having to kind of go off 15 years of travelling the world and doing what you want most days and competing and surfing and living the dream, to actually creating a future for yourself and paying the bills and feeding the family and all of that. And so, it was tough. But that, I suppose you had to kind of grow up fast in a sense, because you've been living in a little cotton wall ball on tour, and then you're in the real world. So I did all sorts of things, as we said, the television show.
Surfers Group, there was a Surfers Group.
That was my company, the Surfers Group, and we had a lot of ideas for working within and in and around surfing in areas that weren't sort of being utilised at that point. Television production, as we talked about earlier with Ra, into management, and then it led me to coaching as well, and that's sort of become one of the main things that I do now is coaching,
development. Well, let's talk about that's one of the roads I wanted to go down, because it's a huge passion of yours, right? Giving back to the grommets and everything like that, seeing the stoke of the grommets' faces and everything like that, and just them running around mad into one another and everything like that. So you pretty much, you're an ambassador for Hurley, right? You travel around with Hurley doing their development. They've got Come Surf with Hurley or something.
The Hurley Surf Club. So we
Club.
travel around and do free coaching for people there with the Hurley Surf Club.
Right, and just an ambassador all round. Go to their different competitions and that. With your coaching, you've got a pretty good little array of surfers that you coach. You've got your little coaching clinics how many times a year do they happen?
I suppose I've got the school holiday camps that we do, and so we do the camps for kids in the school holidays. Most of my coaching now is just private stuff. I just do privates with people, and that's really good. And then I do the stuff with Hurley as well. And I have done some, I've coached surfers of every level, from absolute beginners through to WCT level surfers. And so that's, I've had great exposure to all of those areas. The kids are great, that's always fun. The pros are good too, that's a challenge.
Talking about coaching, you think of, I'd be really good to coach. Do you think are the kids easier to coach than the pros, you would think? Because I know that we've spoken before about coaching pros, and like some of them just don't listen. It's just like,
Well, I suppose when I was there and when I was competing, I most probably didn't listen too well either, but by all accounts, from kind of looking back and talking to people, I was really open, and I would listen to people. I would try anything to get an advantage, and I suppose part of what drove you was the fact that you needed to eat, and you needed to win a heat to get to the next event, and you needed to do well to get money to go to the next event, and so we were hungry. And would try anything, work at anything to try and make ourselves succeed. When you look at today's environment, there's a lot of very well-paid professional surfers. There's some that aren't, but the majority are very well-paid, and so there's not that desperation to try things, to experiment with things, and to put yourself out there and expose yourself to things to try and grow. And I think that's most probably the challenge, is that they're kind of quite safe and in a tight little lane that they're living in, where I was a lot more open, I think, to trying different things to try and improve and improve myself.
Who was your biggest rival?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I suppose I grew up in a time where there were some of the most legendary surfers ever. When you go Tom Carroll, Tom Curran, Mark Occhilupo, those three guys in particular will be remembered forever as three of the greatest. And when you grow up in the same area, Sydney, as Tom Carroll and Mark Occhilupo, and they're goofy footers and you're a goofy footer, and Damien Hardman and and everyone else. So I think that Tom Carroll and Occy were most probably the two at the start of my career that I was the most jealous of and the most driven by and the most inspired by and the most threatened by.
Right. So were they your not mentors but inspiration? Kind of like you looked up to those guys when you.
Well, because they were competitors, you didn't necessarily look up to them. But you were aware of how good they were. Yeah. And in your mind, I suppose you were discounting how good they were to try and give yourself a chance. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they were so incredibly good. And so those guys really challenged me, but at the same time inspired me. And then even to this day, they're still two of the biggest inspirations for me.
Mate, right now we're going to have a look at this man to the right of me, BL. In the Maldives on this boat trip. It's absolutely unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about this boat trip we're going to check out.
I suppose that's one of the coaching avenues that I've gone down is the trips with the coaching component. So we do 3 trips a year, on the boat trip to the Maldives. We go to Kanduma Resort in the Maldives immediately after that. And then the next trip is in October. To the Mentawais, to Kandui Villas. So we go on those trips, people get to hang out and pick my brain on my experiences and life in and around surfing.
Throw down, get a little bit of coaching. Yeah. Holly, your beautiful wife, does yoga on the boats.
Yoga on the trips that. And
healthy food, yoga, surfing. Little bit of beer in the afternoon, Balikabam, sounds pretty good. I want to be on the next one. I am next year. Definitely going to book in on one of these trips with BL to the Maldives through the Perfect Wave, and you're doing a little bit of, obviously you do a little bit of work with the Perfect Wave as well. Is there anybody that you don't do a little bit of work with?
Mate,
just kidding. No,
you got to keep the dream alive, mate.
That's right.
No, they're I suppose what you end up doing is creating like strategic alliances with companies who you work alongside and you develop projects and Hurley are obviously one of those companies for me, and then the Perfect Wave is another company that I've been able to do, and that they approached me and I had the same ideas that they came to me with, and so it was kind of a match that was just right, and the trips have been going great. They get sold out, and people have they're literally trips of a lifetime for people, and
the pictures
for me too.
It's to die for when you're in Sydney or in Australia and you're seeing these pictures. Absolutely off the Richter scale with the Perfect Wave and BL put together, stick of TNT, boom bam shakalaka. We're going to check out some footage right now. We'll be right back after this. Yes, polar bears. Well, how was that footage from the Maldives? If you want to go over there with Cuzzy BL, well, just look at the details below, write them down or click that link, get on over to the Maldives with BL. Bill, it looks pretty special, man. I mean, it's you must come back just going, like take me back.
Yeah, it's a good thing, that's for sure.
I'm definitely coming on one. Anyways, let's continue on. Well, see, we're talking about all of this kind of stuff to do with you as, you know, the BL package, as you would say. And a big part of that is, besides the Maldives trips, you've got the surf lakes going on, mate.
Oh yes, Surf Lakes is an Australian wave pool, and it would seem, you know, at this point it would seem that September we'll be pushing the button on waves and be looking at waves.
This September.
Yeah, this September. At the moment, you know, it's obviously been, you know, we thought we were going to be doing that earlier in the year, but you know, when you're doing something for the very first time, and there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, you're sort of at the back end, and it's looking like, you know, 6 8 weeks time, we might be able to be riding some waves in there, and
that's insane. And this place, let me tell you, it's got everything. What's it got? You were telling us the other night, it pumps out like 6,000 waves an hour or something, or what?
No, well, I suppose
within, because there's a plethora of breaks going on there.
Yeah, there's a central plunger, and then there's a slab, like a bodyboard or expert surfer slab, right and left peak.
Yeah.
Then there's an Indonesian peak, like a perfect left and right.
Yeah.
Then there's a beach break left and right.
Yeah.
And then there's a more beginners type wave and a longboard type wave. So there's eight waves inside the one lake, one pool.
That's mental.
The plunger goes every 6 seconds. So there's 10 waves a minute over the 8 breaks, so 80 waves a minute. So around, you know, 2,400 waves an hour potentially. But again, it's the first time this has been done, and so time will tell. You know, we don't want to get you know, too excited before we see. But you know, in a couple of months' time, they'll be pressing the button, and we'll see how it goes. And
it's pretty radical. The first one ever to be in Australia of its kind, and that is up in the Northern Territory,
North Queensland, Rockhampton, Yeppoon area.
Yeah, there you go. We'll all be looking forward to seeing that puppy lover in action. Let me tell you, I will be getting up there as soon as possible. Once this one comes out, there's got to be heaps more of them. This one's the first one, which is always the best, Bill. And you're the ambassador, you and Ockie.
Yeah, Ock and I are ambassadors for this, and Ock's going to surf the very first wave. He and his son are going to split the peak, so that's really cool.
And you spent some time with Ockie just recently for his podcast.
Yeah, I did. I
How is Ock?
Yeah, Ock's good. He's really good. He's doing great, and it was good to catch up and share some stories. A lot of water underneath our bridge, so it was really cool to see him again.
Yeah. Go Ock. We love you dearly, brother. But last but not least, tell us about this. How did the role of doing commentary come about for WSL? Well,
I suppose Hurley, you know, and my roles for them that started in around 2006, 2007. At that time they were doing some events, and so I was invited to do the commentary on their events. At the Hurley Pro at Lowers and the US Open at Huntington Beach.
He just was that good at it.
And people saw that I could commentate, and it kind of snowballed.
Can do that.
And so now I'm off on Thursday to Tahiti to commentate the Tahiti event. That'll be my first time back to Tahiti in over 20 years.
Maybe the surf ranch.
And then maybe after that to the surf ranch too, which would be amazing to see that wave, because that is a man-made miracle.
Yeah. How that thing is super crazy.
So amazing,
it's like, you know, it's just too perfect. But so that's good. That's keeping you. You know, you're already busy enough, but that's keeping you even more busier. And that's how you reckon that you might be like doing half the tour as in commentary for the WSL?
Oh, I just thought we just go event by event. And
are you liking it? I do.
I love it. I mean, it's one of those things that it's really a lot like what you did for those 15 years on tour, where you sat down with your mates, watched heats, and analysed the heats, and what he did right, what he did wrong, and so it's really a very I don't know, natural and familiar thing for me to do, because I spent so many years just watching it. And then as a coach, I think that's helped me to become a better commentator, really, because you've had to think a little deeper and a little more complex about what goes on because you're coaching people to do it. So I think all of that experience I've had kind of means that it's put me in a place where I'm able to do it, and it's something that I do enjoy. And watching the best surfers in the world at some of the best waves in the world is always pretty cool.
Yeah, is there any big things coming up down the track, or are you just like focusing on what you've got in front of you right now?
I suppose the 13th blast off is most probably the main priority for me.
The blast off.
Yeah, Hurley BL blast off.
There you go, 13 years strong.
Yeah. You've been there, everyone.
Yes, I have. Yeah. I do. I'm on the microphone and I'm doing the commentary for the blast off with all the kids. We got 200 or 350 grommets. Their brothers and their sisters, their mums, their dads, their grandparents. Everybody just mincing it off for 4 days in the month of October. What's the dates?
October 2nd to 5th we're going to run this year.
2nd to the 5th. So if you're up in Sydney and you want to come and check out some awesome surfing action from the grommets, we actually put a new category in a little while ago, and it was the under 6s BL.
Yeah, that's right. So we go under 14, 14 and under.
Yeah.
We added the under 6s and have kids as young as 3 and 4 years old going in it.
Yeah.
And like you said, 350 kids, so it's the biggest sort of Grom family surf festival in the country, quite possibly the world. And again, that's that was something that we created. We saw a need, and it's not a surfing contest, as you know. It's more a coaching program for those first 3 days, and it's one of those. We live in a world where people are always thinking about marketing to a specific demographic and targeting a specific demographic, but Blast Off has actually appeals. It's most probably the first event that most kids do because it's so user friendly, and then it also attracts the very best kids in the country who want to win it. So you've got this event with 350 kids from first timers through to the best kids in the country in their division, sort of all in there together. So it's super inclusive.
It's mad. Yeah, it's mad, and like some of the kids that we've had come through have been through every single age group, and now they actually work with the Blast Off family.
Yeah, we've got a lot of
which
kids.
Is really cool. It's like keeping the love nice and tight within the BL's Blast Off. So yeah, if you're around in Sydney for 2nd till the 5th of October. Come on down.
You better put it in your diary.
Yeah, I better put it. Getting a little busy these days myself. But so anyway, what are you doing down here, Carlos? What are you doing down here?
Snowboard, mate. Just came to ride. Got a bit of time.
And let me tell you, he gets his froth on, mate. He gets his froth on. There's no other grown-up grommet out there other than this man right here. He just absolutely loves it. So you're down here with your daughter and Vluggy and that?
Yeah, my daughter Tamara and her boyfriend Vluggy, Dave Vlug. We came down together for the week and had some good snow. And I missed last winter. I spent last winter in Wanaka in New Zealand, which was great. But it's so good to be back in the snowy mountains and just being in that lift line in the morning at Threadbow, most of the time at the bottom there at Gun Barrel, and you see all the familiar faces and a lot of people who you've seen year after year, and it's so good to be back. And there's people there, like, I'm 55 this year, in a week, and there's Laurie there in the line with us in the morning, nearly every single morning, who's 72, and just froths that hard.
Yeah, the fella with the long grey hair, long silver hair.
He's there every morning. And
the silver surfer.
Yeah, so just being back in that environment and sharing that energy with all those people and being a part of it is the sickest, sweetest. We love it, mate. I love it.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, I've been hanging for you to come down here and cut some turns. We got to do that.
Yes.
And we got to do that in some pretty nice pow up there, and it was absolutely epic. It's always good to spend time with you when you come down, brother.
You too, fella.
Love you to death.
You too, mate.
And that's my boy, B to the L, Barton Lynch, 1988 World Surfing Champion. Boom, bam, shakalaka. So there you go, polar bears in the house, B to the L. I hope you guys are having a great time out there. Take care, and we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this short message. Yeah, polar bears. Well, how was that, BL? He is a big shot legend and all-round fantastic bloke. I love him to death. Now, a couple of announcements. Brumby Bar, Saturday nights from 7 till 11. We're doing tastings down there and giving away free stuff. So come down and say hello to us. That's Saturday nights from 7 till 11 at the Brumby Bar. Up in Thredbo, we're at the House of Ulla, and we're also at the River End doing various tastings and promos up there too. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Bigshot Drinks. There's a link below that you can see. Also, you can follow us on Snowy Mountains Television, and you'll see the link below for that as well. You can also download the Snowy Mountains Television app on your phone. If you've got an Apple iPhone, you can download the link. You can watch Snowy Mountains TV anywhere, anytime. So, yibbity yibbita, that's all from me, folks. Until next episode, take care, whatever you may be doing. Love ya. Have fun.